The Japan Coast Guard is the Coast Guard of Japan. The Japan Coast Guard consists of about 13,700 personnel and is responsible for the protection of the coastline of Japan under the oversight of the Ministry of Land, Infrastructure, Transport and Tourism. The Japan Coast Guard was founded in 1948 as the Maritime Safety Agency and received its current English name in 2000. The motto of the Japan Coast Guard is, Righteous Benevolence. In the Empire of Japan, Coast Guard operations were mandated for the Imperial Japanese Navy, but the Navy was dissolved with the surrender of Japan in August 1945, and the ability of maintaining maritime order was declined seriously. Dense trade and smuggling had increased dramatically. Even pirates had come to appear. Consultation between the Japanese government, who wanted to restore public security capacity as soon as possible, and the allied countries wanting to maintain disarmament of Japan, faced difficulties. But in 1946, an illegal immigration control headquarters was established in the Ministry of Transport, as cholera was transmitted to Kyushu by smugglers from the Korean peninsula and was concerned to cause severe infection explosion. Meanwhile, the GHQ SCAP also recognized the deficiencies of the Japanese Coast Guard system. And in March 1946, USCG Captain Frank M. Meals was invited to consider the situation. Captain Meals suggested the establishment of a comprehensive Coast Guard organization based on the USCG. In response to this, the Maritime Safety Agency was established as an external station of the Ministry of Transportation. In 1948, its English name was changed to Japan Coast Guard in April 2000. In 1952, the Coastal Safety Agency was created with ships supplied by the US and spun off in 1954 as the Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force. Immediately after the end of the war, a large number of aerial mines laid by the US military were left in the waters around Japan, and the duty of clearing them became an important mission of the MSA. For this mission, minesweepers of the former IJN were incorporated into the MSA, and later transferred to the Safety Security Force, ancestor of the Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force. In addition to activities in Japan's waters, in 1950, 2 flotillas of minesweepers were sent to the Korean peninsula under the United Nations flag during the Korean War. In October 1999, Prime Minister Kaizo Obuchi presented a series of major maritime anti-piracy cooperation proposals to ASEAN members. These proposals included having the JCG patrol regional waters alongside ASEAN maritime forces so as to establish a regional Coast Guard body, strengthening state support for shipping companies, and improved coordination of regional responses to maritime attacks. Representatives for Indonesia, Malaysia, and Singapore expressed interest in the idea, although further discussions held by Obuchi's successor Yoshiro Mori did not yield as warm responses, and Chinese representatives questioned the need for any regional anti-piracy cooperation. Nonetheless, these ideas finally materialized somewhat in 2001 when armed JCG ships ventured into foreign waters in order to provide Indian, Thai, and Filipino maritime forces with anti-piracy training. Some other nations which took part in these exercises for the first time were Brunei and Indonesia in 2002, as well as Singapore in 2003. Nonetheless, successive efforts by Japanese authorities to further promote a multilateral and regional maritime defense system have stalled due to disagreements and lack for commitment by regional powers, and Japanese players have tended to favor bilateral discussions instead. On December 22, 2001, JCG ships intercepted a Chinese-flagged vessel believed to be North Korean in origin in the Japanese exclusive economic zone between Kyushu and China. When the vessel failed to respond, she was fired upon by the JCG and an exchange of gunfire resulted. The unidentified vessel sank in the Chinese EEZ with all hands. The ship, later salvaged by the JCG, was found to be carrying weapons and spy equipment. The wreck and its contents were put on display at the Japanese Coast Guard Museum at Yokohama. The mission of the JCG is to ensure security and safety at sea as below. Although the JCG is legally and technically a civilian organization as stipulated in Article 25 of the Coast Guard Law, the JCG has seen increased responsibility due to its quasi-autonomous status with wide latitude in its domestic and border security missions. In emergency situations, the Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force can assist JCG in conducting law enforcement activities as stipulated in Article 82 of the Self-Defense Forces Law, and the JCG may be incorporated under the direction of the Minister of Defense as stipulated in Article 80 of the SDFF. However, the JCG is not allowed to use force against foreign governments or naval vessels, and the JMSDF is likewise constrained in its operations in support of the JCG.